And talking about fighters who have been a little hesitant over their career to do such a thing, Gregor Gillespie, man, he's a little frustrated that he's still waiting for a fight that kind of propels him up the rankings, like the uninterested Tony Ferguson. So this is the same situation, right? But Gregor Gillespie is a little bit of a different situation because he's 14-1 in his MMA career. He's finished 12 of his 14 wins. He's exciting as hell, man. His only 2 decision wins, those took place in 2016. He's finished 6 fights in a row, 6 wins in a row, I should say. But here's a quote that he has. So Gregor Gillespie, he notes to MMA Junkie, he says, "I've been radio silent for the last 5 or 6 years. I don't call people out. I've been pretty adamant about not doing that. I've been offered fights. They're just not fights I'm interested in taking. I'm not ancient by any means. I'm 35 years old. I don't have that many years left in my career that I'm not just fighting guys ranked lower than me." So that was very kind of telling to me, AJ, because he's saying that they're offering me fights, but I'm not interested in taking them. So he's not taking the RDA approach. He's not taking the Derek Lewis approach. He's like, he's kind of taking the Dominic Cruz approach by saying, like, I'm trying to fight up, not down. But if beggars can't be choosers, what are we talking about here? I do think it's unfair because it's like, well, if people don't want to necessarily fight you because high risk, low reward, you're not that high in the rankings and you're a stud and, you've only lost once, and that was kind of now that we're looking at it, kind of a fluky KO loss to Kevin Lee. I can understand why people would be hesitant to want to fight him. But do you think it's unfair and do you think it's a waste of talent for a Gregor Gillespie if he just chooses to stay on the shelf, not take fights, preserve his record, and only want to fight up? Do you think it's kind of waste? He's 35 years old, so he is getting kind of old, especially for a wrestler, a grinder, that is getting up there. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely a waste of talent, man. And I feel like it's a little bit of cosmic justice here. The fact that he doesn't want to fight people lower than him, he's having a hard time finding people that want to fight that are above him. I mean, if you're not down to scrap in the sport of scrapping, I feel like it's a little bit of like I said, cosmic justice, poetic justice, however you want to phrase it. The fact that he doesn't, he's been turning fights down, that pisses off the matchmakers, and it's really shooting himself in his own foot. Like you should want to go out there and just smack everybody, take the easiest fights as possible, get that payday going. But he's over here picking and choosing. It just loses a little bit of a credibility or a little bit of that fan favoritism that we have. I'm a big fan of Gregor Gillespie. The fact that he's turning fights down and trying to not necessarily this isn't a good way to phrase it, but be a diva about it. Be like, no, I'm not fighting this guy. I'm not fighting this guy. I only want X, Y, and Z. Oh, they don't want to fight me? Cool, whatever. I think it's a weirder way to go about it than the Cowboy Cerrone approach.
Well, so let me ask you 2 questions here. First one, so it's kind of the same thing that he's doing. It seems like what he's doing to other fighters, Tony Ferguson is doing to him. So it's like you can't necessarily be too upset if you're kind of playing the same game, right? Tony Ferguson's probably like, yeah, I don't want to take that fight. I'll take another fight. I'll take a fight at that higher ranked or something like that. But I think the issue is because he calls out Chandler saying it's wrestling season. It's like, well, honestly, in the division, if you're talking about who's the best wrestler, it's Gregor Gillespie, hands down, right? But this is the question that I wanted to ask because I'm pondering it for myself as well. I'm trying to reflect a little bit. You're 14-1. You, hypothetically speaking, you're 14-1. You're in the UFC. You're in that 10 to 15 rank, and you're trying to fight for a title, and you're the dark horse. Do you just take fights that are just, kind of random, these numbered 13s and 14s and 8s and stuff like that? Or do you say, I guess Tony Ferguson might be number 8 or something like that. Here, let me pull up the rankings real fast. Let's just take a look real fast, just so we can play this this thought experiment out right now. So what division are we talking about here? Lightweight division? Lightweight. Okay. So Gregor Gillespie, number 10. Okay. That's fine. He's number 10. That's not a bad ranking. Tony Ferguson is number 7, but Tony Ferguson is looking up at number 5, and Gillespie is looking up at number 7. So everyone is looking up here, right? Would Gregor Gillespie be like, oh, let me fight number 12, Mateusz Gamrot, excuse me. I keep messing up on the man's name. Or an Arman Sarukian. Or Brad Riddell, you know what I mean? So that's the question that you have to ask. Even like Fazeev, I don't know. So that's the question. You're in that same boat right there, right? And you're number 10. Are you saying, give me number 12, give me number 13, give me number 14, give me unranked dude? Or are you saying, come on, brother, at least give me number 8. Like, let me get a step up. I'm trying to go up. I'm not trying to go down. He's literally following the Dominic Cruz approach. So what would you do in a situation like that?
Man, I think you line them up and scrap, Derek. There's no other way about it, my man. It's hard to say, though, because, you lose one of those fights, It's a lot of loss. You're dropping far. You're kind of falling out of the thing. But at the same point, you take the Sean O'Malley approach. You smack these dudes that are unranked. You just keep getting more and more hype to your name. More people want to fight you. It looks a little bit more alluring. That payday's coming. I think you line them up and fight whoever brings your way, man. That's the best way to do it. Be a company man, get the fight going. But I can see why the hesitation. Don't get me wrong. I totally see the hesitation. You lose one of those fights, you're dropping down a lot. But you're in the fight game, brother. It's time to fight. That's what I feel. What about you, Derek?
Well, listen, I'd at least say, let me get number 9, brother. Throw me a Conor McGregor. You feel me? All right, would that ever happen? No. Come on, what are we talking about here? But I would at least be like, give me a Dan Hooker. Give me a something. And if I'm stepping backwards, give me a Fiziev. But I don't want to take number 13, number 14, number 15. I get it in terms of especially the age. 35 years old. You're like, come on, brother. Really? I got to keep taking these fights? Like, come on, man. Please, give me someone. If we're looking at, let me just pull it up real fast. Just because I'm interested. Now, you got me thinking over here. Gregor Gillespie. If we're looking at the man's record, okay, let's look at it. Diego Fajeda. So he did number 15. That was his last fight, right? So I mean, he already got the win, and Diego Fajeda was ranked higher at the time too. So like, this was a little bit of a drop off. Lose to Kevin Lee. He'll win over Yancy Medeiros, Vince Pichel, Jordan Ronaldo, Jason Gonzalez. Like, if you look at these dudes, these aren't like names. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the biggest names is Sidney Outlaw, and that wasn't even in the UFC, right? So it's like these are like not necessarily the names. He got the big time shot against Kevin Lee, and he lost the fight. So, I mean, that, like you said, man, sometimes it just happens, right? I'm pretty sure Kevin Lee was ranked at the time. But I can totally understand how he's number 10 now. And he's like, bro, come on. Let's do it. Give me these dudes. Give me one of them. Give me an RDA. Wouldn't an RDA versus Gregor Gillespie, that's probably a better matchup. That's probably something that he's looking for, even than a Tony Ferguson, because we know if there's one thing that RDA struggles with, it's wrestling, right? We know this. So I'm just saying, I get it. Gregor, listen, if you're listening, brother, I get it. I understand what we're doing here. Then again, like you said, AJ, there's two sides of that coin. The other side is, well, you don't want to fight? Then you're on the shelf. And you can't really be mad and complain when you're kind of doing it to yourself. So I get where you're coming from. I can see where he's coming from. But to be honest, if I was a fighter, I would probably be taking that Dominic Cruz approach too. So I'll just put that out there.